You are now tuned into Mix Station Radio Live. The views and opinions of the guests and the hosts you hear on Mix Station Radio Live are not necessarily those of the staff and the management of Mix Station Radio Live, its sponsors, or advertisers.
Good morning. Welcome to Diary of a Preacher's Kid with your girl Renee Newman. I am without Big Sis today, but I got Bestie and Bestie Brother. Okay, Bestie Brother. That's what it is. It's still a family affair up in here. So we are glad to be here. You all want to introduce yourselves.
I am Gabrielle Kerr. One of your besties, as you said,
yes.
for
30 years. Yep.
We were 2. We were 2 years old.
That's right. We're young, so. Yeah, we've been friends over 30 years.
And y'all remember
that's our story, and we're sticking to it.
Not at all. And I'm Judson, but everybody calls me Juddy Kerr. And I'm Bestie Brother.
That's right. So today's topic is relationship goals, and we're picking up. Yes, we had to do it for Gabby. I know. Yes.
I wasn't expecting it.
So we are here, and we're picking up on our show series about relationships. And we did the principles of Christian dating, and now we're going to talk about relationship goals. And we want to focus in on what works, what doesn't work, and how you improve your relationships. And I'm using Bestie here because in all of our years of friendship, I've seen all the stages from teenagers to now, just a little beyond teenage years, because we're still young.
Right.
So, yes. And so,
wait a minute. Just 1 minute.
yes. So we know what we've been through, the ups, the downs, the happy moments.
The good, the bad,
the tears and the joys. So I am very joyful that she is sitting here now, a wife and a mom, and I am so privileged to know her story. And what I will say before we dive in, I have met only a few couples who, when I meet them, I'm like, oh my gosh, you all were created for each other. Like when my sister Veronica Wilbur, who you've met, she and her husband Michael were here. That's a couple that when you sit down and talk to them, you're like, oh my God, you all were created for each other. And I was a part of their story, their arguments and the highs and lows of them. This to my right, this couple to my right is a couple who were made for each other.
That's a blessing.
Yeah.
Give them claps. Give them claps. Like when you meet them, and this is something that we'll discuss, and maybe we'll open with this. When you interact with Gabby and Juddy, the first thing you say is, they are friends.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So friendship in a relationship. Let's talk about the foundation of friendships.
Okay. Go ahead, wife. What you want?
Well, first, let's hear your story. How did you meet?
Okay, all right.
Let's start there. Let's go to the beginning.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so we met through mutual friends. his best friend and my friend, Marissa, you remember?
Oh, yes.
They were friends.
Okay.
His friend and my friend were friends. So I was visiting her in New York, and his friend called her and said, "Hey, I'm coming up to New York. My cousin is having a album release party. Do you want to go?" So she says, "Well, I got my girlfriend here with me. Is it okay if she comes?" And so we head to the show, and we get there before them. We're standing on the curb waiting for them to get into the venue, and up pulls this car, and Jetty is hanging on the passenger side of his best friend's ride.
I was.
And that's where we met. He was
Really?
we go inside. He offers to buy me and my girlfriend a drink, and
All
he's
right.
just very much the gentleman. And that was how it began, and it was a good night.
What can I say?
And I feel like I had chemistry, at least. I felt like there was instant chemistry. There was a lot of flirting going on that night.
Right.
She was in love.
Okay, that's extreme. But, but we were both spoken for at the time.
Okay.
So that's where it began and it ended that same night, because we didn't even talk or see each other again for almost 7 months.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, the
Like
concert was in the fall, sometime in
October.
And then we all went to Miami the following.
It was like a group trip in Memorial Day.
Yeah, May.
So-
And that's
Wow.
when we connected.
And they were like, "Jetty's gonna be there." I was like, "Ooh."
Wow. So let's talk about first conversation where it was like you felt like this is a whole vibe with him and a whole vibe with her.
I don't know if there was a
I don't know if there was
conversation.
like a conversation. It just wasn't just like she said, it was just the chemistry. We both like to laugh a lot, and I'm always with the jokes, and she was always with the laughs, and we found the same things entertaining, same thing funny.
Okay.
And so it was like that. We never really, in terms of conversation, I don't know that I can point to one thing that says, you know what I mean? Like, when she said that she understood the geopolitical, no, there was none of that.
I think if anything, the first time we had a for real conversation, like a for real conversation, was after Miami.
Yeah.
You came back and you took me to Gertrude's.
Yes.
And then we had the discussion about like, what do you want in the future?
Yeah.
And I said I wasn't really interested in kids.
Yes.
And he was.
Oh my
and
gosh.
that was kind of the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, she doesn't want what I want.
Yeah.
And that was.
I remember that was your attitude
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
like,
I was in that.
Need to wait some time.
Yeah. I was in that. I was in that space. She wasn't in that space. And so I was like, all right, well then we just.
Right.
Yeah,
That was
because
about
the
it.
reason why she asked while we were sitting down talking, she asked about us, moving forward with the relationship, since we at that time weren't spoken for. And so I was like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. But Rama,
Yeah.
hey, you want to have some kids?
How many babies you want?
Yeah. She's like, and it wasn't that, it wasn't that she didn't want them. It just, and it really was striking to me at the time. She was like, I don't feel like I'd be missing out on anything if I don't.
Yeah.
And to me, that was mind blowing, because I hadn't run across anybody, met anybody who had that kind of approach.
Right.
Everybody that I was in my circles wanted to have kids.
And Gabby was loving her life.
Yeah. And now that I got kids, I understand why she's in it.
Like fast
I
forward.
love my children. I love my kids. I think that it's the light of my life. But I understand the
Right.
concept now.
In her mindset back then, yeah.
But what it did do, I guess, is just kind of bring light to the type of person she was, and made her even that more interesting, right? Because she was not, in my view, typical
Right.
to what I had been accustomed to. So, so yeah.
But I will say this: when we finally did get together and decide that maybe we wanted a future together and had the whole kids talk, baby talk, I just wanted him to know, if I have children with somebody, it's not going to be like old school Beaver Cleaver.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a home take. Like this is straight up.
leave me.
But I just wanted the reassurance that you're gonna be in it.
That's
like,
right.
It's half and half.
Yeah.
You doing diapers? I'm doing. I'm doing diapers. You're doing diapers.
Right.
I'm feeding. You're feeding. I'm up late. You're up late. Like,
That's right.
You need to be hands on. And he was like, fine by me. That's
Right.
Like that's what I want to do.
I'd already
I'll
done
say-
that
I think
already. Not with him. I ain't got no little kids.
Right.
That we know of.
But it's slightly might be accurate. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, I grew up in a big family, so and I was the oldest of the next generation,
Right.
So they were coming in, and I would be the automatic babysitter. So I was already diapers
Right.
and all that kind of stuff. I was ready for that, but yeah, that's really it. I think was that conversation, but the space and the vibe just from the jump
Yeah.
was like, oh yeah, I want to be like around her. She's
Yeah.
she's
The
something.
laughter, the easy engagement.
Absolutely.
And that's like friendship. Like, okay, I'm not beating your door down. It's no chase. You want to talk to me, I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I think neither one of us was trying to impress the other at that point.
Right.
Oh no,
Like,
yeah. There
he
were no
saw-
representatives present.
Okay.
Like,
No representative. I like
yeah,
that.
no,
I like that. Go ahead. Yeah. That's some class.
no representatives.
Well, let me pause here. If you want to dial in and talk with Judson and Gabrielle Kerr, please feel free to call in at
lines are open.
1-855-493-6499 and join the conversation. And I have tagged you all on your pages. Hopefully you got that.
I'm looking.
And we can go on. But no representative.
No,
No.
he saw it all. Like, like he's, you want to go to the movies? Okay, no makeup, hair, and a messy
Yeah.
bun, and,
Right.
just like, okay, did I bathe that day?
Right,
Whatever.
That's right.
Right, and so that was just all about easy and fun, like hanging out with a
Absolutely. And I think that this picks up on what we were talking about 2 weeks ago about how do you put yourself out there to date people. We covered like online dating. For me, I enjoy meeting people in a group setting like that. That's what works for me. Not a blind date, not a hookup, but guess what? I'm calling my friends, you call your friends, and we all gonna be friends.
Yeah.
That's the type of
Okay, Diddy.
setting that I told y'all I can flow. I got bars.
I know you do.
I got bars.
We have yet to hear them, but
got
Right. I know. That was a
choked a little
brain freeze, But I like settings like that where it's with ease, because I've been in settings where it's like, okay, I'm going to invite my friend and he's going to invite his and see if y'all like each other. And then everybody's
That's a lot of
watching.
pressure.
It is way too much
it's
pressure.
awkward.
Yeah. So I don't like that. I like just a social gathering where if we kind of gravitate towards each other, like, okay, hey, how you doing?
Like
Lighthearted.
what kind of how was with
That's
us?
what happened.
That is
Yeah.
what works for me. I don't like blind dates.
want setups.
Yeah, like I've gotten mad at my family because they're trying to hook me up.
They ran an intervention on you.
Yeah, and I'm like, hey, I don't like him. Yeah, I'm going to hide in the bathroom. Like, I don't want that.
I like it that way.
So I like the group settings. You all know I love a good social gathering.
Absolutely.
Whoever you bring and whatever happens, happen, and let it just happen organically.
Yeah.
So we have friendship. The next one is, okay, so you easily brought out that there was no representative. You were yourselves from the go. This is what you have.
Yeah.
At what point do you all feel that discussing futuristic things and plans, is there a point of being too early or too late in the game? Like I hear you brought up children, and it seems like,
Well, that was just early on. That was just to
Very
establish,
Yeah.
like,
and I
know-
think that's good.
yeah, it was very early on, and we were there was obviously some attraction between the two of us. We were obviously vibing, but I was just in that space, at the time, and I wanted to make sure that before we got serious, that question was answered. But I think in terms of just the timeline, that there was a lot between that time and us, coming back from Miami before we started to get into something serious. It was
like literally years.
There were years in between where we were, we went through stages. So we were friends. We were friends with benefits.
Right.
And then
I'm going there too.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we became.
Yes.
And then
That's the stuck stage. You could get stuck there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, but all throughout that period, we valued each other in a certain way. So we weren't disrespectful to one another. We made sure that we were honest with each other and we communicated. And so it wasn't any. I don't know. There wasn't an opportunity for things to just kind of go south with us in terms of being friends.
Right.
I mean, there was one thing that I did that created a bit of a challenge, but that's another part of the story.
No, tell the story because I think it is important.
The people want to know.
It is. It's important, but I just didn't want to. I don't want to hijack the agenda. But
oh no, you all are the agenda.
Okay. So
You got time.
all right. Look, I looked at my watch. I got time today. Okay, so, but we like I said, we were friends. But one of the reasons why we didn't really connect and get serious is because we both were sort of in and out of relationships along that period.
Oh
too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
We stayed
That's
connected.
real.
We stayed connected, but we were also otherwise engaged, sort of. Not officially
married,
engaged, but so there was a point where I wanted to give the other relationship a real chance.
Yep.
And I thought to myself,
My hand is
only
up.
way-
I've experienced that. Yeah.
I can feel it though.
Yeah.
So I said, I went to her and said to her that we would have to discontinue what we're doing because I was trying to.
Let me set
Oh,
the
you
scene.
can tell the story.
Set the
No, I
scene.
ain't said I'm in my house, my apartment, minding my own business.
Right.
And then get a knock at the door. So first of all, it is a secure building.
Okay.
So I don't even know how he made it up to the door.
Because I'm me.
That's right. You know he was in the door.
So I open the door and there he is. And that's the bomb he drops on me. Basically. I mean, and just was very...
Okay, I'm gonna give you a cool point. It was in person.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No
It wasn't
text.
over the phone.
Yeah, none of
no
that.
text
None of
message.
Uh-uh.
Okay. I got my heart broke on a voicemail one time. So that's why I was like, cool
Or
point.
straight
Well,
from
Yeah. Absolutely.
No, I didn't want to do that. I was very conscious of that. I wasn't gonna break her heart. First of all,
Right.
I don't believe so at the time because of our relationship was.
Right.
It wasn't
at
even...
that point.
Yeah, we weren't a couple of...
She would tell you that conversation was likely not really necessary. At the
Okay.
time.
But your feelings
Because
said
y'all
it
wasn't
was
there.
necessary.
No.
wasn't
I was
there.
like, you could have just...
Kept
kept it to
that.
yourself.
But
You could've kept
he
that
was
time.
torn though. So even though you all weren't committed, you still had other attachments. But that still says it was a connection. Like, what am I gonna
He
do?
felt the need to...
Yeah.
felt the need to do
It was
My man.
twofold. It was a couple things. One was we were friends,
Right.
and I didn't want there to be some point where I found myself in some situation.
Dilemma.
Yeah, like I'm Baltimore.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
yes, Lord.
Yeah.
I just
You knew I was over there.
He didn't
with her.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be in an entanglement.
Yeah, that's all right. That's the new word, entanglement.
anti-Jada
Yeah.
anti-entanglement move, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want it to sound like it's all courageous and whatever else.
Work phone. We're gonna
Yeah.
ignore that.
But
It's good. We fine. Let's
yeah,
keep
but
moving.
that's all. But I really wanted to, like I said, I was honest in that. I did. I really was. that relationship was a long-term thing. Was in and out, up and down. You know, she was fully entrenched in the family. And all this other kind of stuff. So it was something. But I knew that it had gotten to a point where it was, you know, or get off the pot.
Right,
you know?
right.
And so I figured that I should do that. And in order to do that fully, I needed to cut ties.
And then how I received it basically was like, you came and interrupted my nap.
I was sleeping.
To tell me this. Like,
so how did you feel? So you opened the door.
Yeah,
he's there.
I mean, I really was asleep.
Oh, she was mad.
Yeah, I mean, I will. Of course, my feelings were hurt because I was just like, "Well, dang, okay."
I didn't get a chance.
Right. And I'm like, "Do you?" Which is fine.
Right.
But like, okay. So you made your, you made your choice.
That's a choice.
And you are dead to me.
Right.
That was literally.
Oh yeah.
I was like,
And she meant that. Here's the key.
We're here with that.
Well, here's the other part too.
Yeah.
Although at the end of the story, it might not have the same level of impact. But one of the things I tell, because women in my orbit now, work with or with friends, they ask my advice a lot. And what I tell them all is that say what you mean and mean what you say.
Yes, sir.
And she was serious about it.
Yeah, she was like, we're done.
She was, and
like, I'm not gonna be happy. Like,
the thing was, I wasn't at that point. I wasn't pursuing her for a relationship, but I thought we would just kick back into our regular friendship piece.
Oh,
because she and my best friend and her and I would go out, and she was one of the guys a lot of times.
right.
But she got to the point where my buddy would call her up and say he's headed out, and she'd be asking who gonna be there.
Who all gonna be there?
Right.
And if my name was in the mix, she was like, "That's all right.
That's all
I see
right.
you."
Peace. Deuces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass. Yeah.
She was in that kind of space. And then that went on for a little while. And then I think she finally broke down and we all went out one time.
No, we didn't go out. He just like would
that's
show
right.
up and like he wasn't supposed to be there. Right.
I'm gonna be there.
Yeah, right. Just
What
come
time?
If you tell her I'm coming, she's not gonna go.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I also was in on it too.
okay.
My man was in on it too.
Yeah.
So that's how you, because you still wanted the friendship, but Gabby was like, you made your choice.
Yeah, and let me be clear too. For a big part of the friendship, there was no action. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That she had established
just
herself.
friends.
We were really just friends. There were
No friends.
There were no benefits.
Oh,
Damn it all. Shut down. Out of there.
You got to
It's
be my
done.
friend.
Yeah, I had to go. If I wanted benefits, I had to get Obamacare.
Hello, Obamacare is the care to get, baby. Yes, sir.
she shut it all
Oh
down.
yeah, it was all down. Yeah.
That's how she rolls.
Yeah. But so yes, and then we finally got reconnected friendship wise.
Okay.
Yep. And
Wow.
then that
Okay.
was it. What else happened?
I mean, after when we reconnected, I think you had ended the
Yes.
relationship. So he was now
Okay.
he was like, I'm free and clear. I think that's when it got serious. I would like to pursue something.
I got a question.
I told you.
So when you were free and clear, did you completely was free and clear, or you just say, look, you know what? Did you leave the door open, cracked, and it was just you was done? You fully went the whole level with that relationship.
Yeah, I was
like,
done. I was done.
Right. Okay. Oh, yeah, understandable. I understand. The other side may not have been, but you was done.
Yeah, I was done. But yeah, so no, I didn't. I had enough respect and care for Gabi at that time not to
waste her time.
Yeah, not to bring her into something that I thought was going to be, you know.
But it was still was a residue of the other person, I guess, still around.
Yeah, always show. Yeah, some residue.
Straight up dirt.
Yeah, it was some dirt. Yeah.
I understand. I'm dealing with residue right now. We shot by. So Lord have mercy.
Yeah, but I think that's a key part of it too. If you're gonna move forward with someone, you have to make sure that everything else is taken care of.
But for you, you were detached from that relationship and that person.
Yes, I was.
And then at that point, that's when we really started spending a lot of time together. So that, I mean, we didn't even really have to talk about it. It really was just like, okay, we are a couple now, and we are planning on a future.
So, okay. I have this question.
Yeah.
Yes, Lord. So y'all never had a conversation to say, hey, we're an item. Because I have been in relationships where as though the girl would think that we're together. And we never had that conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how are we together and we never had the conversation?
Yeah.
No, let's have the conversation, say we're an item or where we are. But why are we going to assume just because we're doing whatever we're doing, amen, benefits and all of that, that we are our item now, that we are it? No, we never had the conversation.
Right.
So what is the case?
Well, here's what likely would happen. Likely would happen. The conversation was happening whether you were having it or not.
This is true.
Because the conversation was, the information was being passed along by your activity and your behavior. So what was happening is and this happens on both sides.
This is true.
A person will interpret the behavior in such a way where you don't have to have the conversation.
Amen.
In fact, and in our case, we literally were inseparable.
Right. I was
There
going to
was
say the
no-
dynamic
Right.
changed.
The dynamic
we weren't
changed.
connected at the hip at
It
that
wasn't
point.
it wasn't a
Go talk for, go out and then not talk for 2 weeks, which
no,
was
it
kind
was
of
not
how
that.
we rolled
It was
before.
I got you.
while we were out, we were talking about what we were going to do next.
Right.
Okay.
The next level. The next.
Or no, just the next weekend.
Okay,
the next
got
time
you.
we had
Okay,
time
got
off. The
you,
next
got
time.
you.
When are we going?
Because I was going to his job all the time.
Yeah.
Everybody knew me there.
Right,
Like, that would have
right.
been awkward if,
Yeah, it
you
wasn't
know,
anything like that. It
I
was,
got you. I got you.
So no assumptions were made. It was very clear that you all were on the same page. It was, where are we going to eat next week? Hey, my friend's having a gathering, a function, whatever.
we were each other's plus one for sure.
It was just known.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And at that time, that was when I was at Fox 45. And
I mean, there was
doing
a
lot-
period. There was a period where there were, where I was single.
Right.
But she was,
Constant. Consistent.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Right
But like
there.
you literally, like we were each other's plus one. Like
Absolutely.
we started going to events and like being on the scene, and so at that point, like you said, we never said it.
Y'all
but
never
we were
said it, but
we
y'all
were
was
the
couple.
only person I was photographed with
And
in
I think
public.
that happens when you're really on the same page. Now, if you're not on the same page, there need to be a conversation.
Yeah.
And on my part.
Well, and that did happen. That came up because there was a point where we had decided that we were going to be together, but we really hadn't talked about like long-term stuff. And I had come off of this up
Other
and
thing.
down.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
a lot of
Oh,
years.
yeah.
And this was
Them
another
years,
time.
boy. I understand. Yes,
This was
sir.
another time
Yeah.
where Gabi basically was like, "So, what are we doing?"
That's it. That's it.
Uh-huh.
That's it.
And
That's
that's
it
what
right
females
there.
want to
That's
know.
it.
Yeah.
What we doing?
What we
But I
doing?
slipped.
Yeah.
But see, that's where I slipped, and I
You
was
slipped?
like, well, basically because I had just come off of this long thing.
And you be like, hey, give
I
me
was
some
like,
breather
well, yeah,
time.
let me. I'm not real sure. I just came out
Hey,
of this
hey,
thing. And so forth.
understandable.
And guess what she did?
What you do?
We were wherever we were. We were at the apartment watching the movie.
Uh-huh.
We had a great evening. Everything was good. We were laughing. We had a good time. We had that conversation.
Yeah.
She literally, when I answered her, she packed her stuff, walked and started to walk out. And when I got down to the car, which I walked her to the car every time, I went to hug her. She was the hug, there was no kisses. She got in the car, boom, and left.
Yeah.
I called her the next day. She was like, "What?"
Yeah.
And I was like,
I
thought I would call, but anyway. And that went on for a couple of weeks, actually. And
I remember we had that conversation.
yeah, that went on for a couple of weeks. She
Yeah.
really did. She shut it down. But then eventually I did break her down because I called her like with some baby.
He did.
please. I
Wearing
literally
you
said-
down, baby.
I called her.
doing
and said-
this, the keep sweat thing, huh? Ooh, Lord have
I
mercy.
said, my words were, I'm not doing good.
I'm not doing good in this area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she, she came back around and I was like, listen, this you it.
Uh-huh.
Let's take the next step.
Okay. Now, I've been in a situation, but my situation was a little shorter than with you.
Yeah.
2 weeks. It took me a week almost. Because you want to go in your mind to settle things because you're just coming off of something and you don't want to go into something so haphazardly, you know, or quick. And I think for men, it's a process. For women, y'all a little quicker. Y'all just nope, yes, nope, yes. More men, because we process it, it takes a little minute. And now, if you really know that is the one, like my fiance did, she knew after I said some crazy stuff that wasn't the issue.
Right.
She had to see through all of that and say, no, he didn't really mean that. So I'm going to stick here.
Yeah.
She was mad as hell, but she stayed around. Even though she was mad as hell, she stayed around.
Yeah.
And she took all of that. And then I finally said, okay, all right, this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
You know, and that conversation had to be made, and I'm glad that y'all did the 2 week thing.
Oh yeah, well, but just to be clear, it was 2 weeks because of her. She was just not having it. I was reaching out almost every other day.
Yeah, you
but
definitely
she was
sweating.
Yeah, I was keep sweating.
Yeah.
I was Tevin Campbell.
Yeah, all that.
I was Aaron Hall.
Yeah. I miss you.
You all were vibing, and you
affected.
tried to say, "Hey, we good as friends." Did
Well,
you hit?
no, I was just like,
I just came out of something
Oh,
long
okay.
term, so maybe we should basically like let's slow roll it.
Okay.
And I'm like, here he go again. Like you're not gonna. Okay, you're just indecisive. You don't know
Right.
what you want to do. So I'm gonna.
Let me make a
I'm gonna
decision.
be over here.
Yeah.
yeah, she was literally over there.
Over there.
Okay. So
That's awesome.
there we go. When you know there's a connection and being able to identify, hey, this is my bottom line. And because it is so easy to get stuck in that gray area. That we all have been mixed up in that gray area.
Amen.
You know, do I continue on?
Right.
Or, well, as you're saying, like, okay, I know it's a little more. I'm going to hang in there, or do I cut it off? So I know I personally have been teetering on both sides in various relationships. Oh, you're cut, then I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. But then when benefit of the doubt can become unhealthy.
I'm not a fan of benefit. I'm not a fan of doubt. I'm not a fan of.
That's good.
Uh-huh.
I don't like doubt.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of possibilities.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of you coming around.
Yep.
I'm not a fan of none of that because
I'm not either anymore.
Most likely that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Most likely it will fall.
And you have
It
to
will
look
falter.
at the age and the stage of life that you're in.
Right.
So if I was a benefit of the doubt type of person in my 20s,
You would do it. You would be in it.
oh, I'm going to work with them, dating a project where you're like, I see
Lord have
potential.
mercy.
I think
Potential.
if
No hope and potential.
Exactly.
Jesus.
It's like if I do this, and me, I'm analytical. I'm a thinker. So I'm like, well, okay, based on what I know, if I do this, then he'll do this, and the whole come around, this and that, and then that formula just doesn't work out. And I'm like, you're cut.
Yeah.
So you're getting two extremes for Renee. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I thought, you was going to work with me. Yeah, I'm over it because it didn't work out the way I had
Right,
it in my
planned in
mind.
mind.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, no more benefit of the doubt, no more possibilities.
Yeah.
I'm old.
Yeah.
Not really.
Not old, but you know what I'm saying. I'm over that. I'm old over that.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm not doing
That's
that
an
no more. No more
old
wasting time.
mindset. And it has to go to my next point of being in a place of healing and knowing yourself, having your own boundaries, which I'm hearing Gabby had established her boundaries.
Right.
And when, no matter how much you love or like a person, or this has some potential, or gosh, when you get to that point of this isn't feeling good, what you're saying, it doesn't resonate with me, it doesn't make me feel comfortable. So I have to do whatever I can on my end
Protect
to shut it down.
Yeah.
And so
Myself.
it can seem harsh, but then when you're establishing your own boundaries, it's just like, okay.
self-care.
Self-care.
Self-protection.
Self-love. It's the healing. You have to first have that established self-love for yourself. Not selfishness, but understanding I'm entering this relationship. This is what I'm offering. And this is what I'm not accepting.
Right.
And then when you do that, whoever sticks around is the one that's meant to be. What you thinking? You see that?
Justin Juddy is thinking something over there.
There you go. What's your thought?
I think I agree that it's important to establish standards for yourself. And I also agree that it's important to have boundaries. But in the stage of life, I think you brought up a good point in terms of evaluating someone based on potential. But I think what a lot of people get themselves in trouble with is coming to a relationship believing that they are bringing the most to the relationship.
Yes.
And that they don't necessarily have room for growth or improvement, or that the other person is looking at them as if they have potential, because
Absolutely.
none of us have reached our full output, right? And I think it's all relative based on the two people that come together, right? So your maximum level of output in terms of compassion, love, and whatever else, if you are in a relationship with dude A, may be completely different once you're in a relationship with dude B.
Yeah.
So I think when you go into relationships, it's important to be introspective in the sense that and humble enough to understand that there's stuff that I need to do. There's stuff that I'm not the one. It shouldn't be. You got to prove it to me.
That's right.
That I'm also needing to prove it to you as well. And I think if both people are on that page, then I think you can get to a good place.
I had that problem, and I've been on both sides.
Somebody had to prove, or you had to prove
Yes,
yourself?
sir. I was like, let me tell you, I'm under construction, and I've come a long way. And I have
At least you're honest.
been very much so. I have been in a situation where I'm like, I've gotten myself together. It's on you. So in my eyes and in my mindset, it's like, I've done my work.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Exactly.
And let me tell you, the big thing, and you used the word humility, was to sit and hear how someone else has experienced you when you think you got your stuff together.
Absolutely.
So I have been there, and it is very humbling to hear, well, when you did this, it may not have shown, but this is how it made me feel.
Yeah.
And your words and this, and I had to sit and hear it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I ain't know I hurt you like that. Well, I did that because, and again, when you're coming and you're saying, I'm together, but still, it's about how people experience you.
Yeah.
And that's the compromise part.
Absolutely.
That is, to hear it, to sit, and I'm thinking of a couple now where they're engaged and the female is always saying, he needs to do this, he needs to do this, and they're going through counseling. And her words were, in counseling, I hope it comes out about him and all the work that he needs to do. And my words were, do you understand that it is for both of you?
Yeah,
and if you both are invested in this, some stuff is going to come up for you as well. Because in a relationship, we all are coming with our own baggage.
Absolutely.
So we got to sit here on this floor and go through our baggage and figure it all out.
Do you think that, and just throwing it out there because I've been in a relationship like that where the person felt as though they had it all together and I didn't because of what I went through in the past of my divorce and other stuff, child support and everything that didn't line up to where they were. The bottom line comes out to be that she pretty much said, well, I really didn't love me. Because I think the first thing that that if I'm a good man and I'm doing the good things, regardless of what my past is, I'm cleaning all that up. I'm doing it. But yet I don't speak to your standards.
Okay.
There's a certain standard she had, but I'm there and everything else, but there's a certain financial and other stuff that she's dealing with. And so I'm thinking, like, but
That's that bull.
hey, you can say it on the show. This mixstation radio, baby. You can
That's
say
that bullshit.
it. Yeah. And so the whole idea is, I'm like, for real? That's where you are? And the bottom line is, she said, you know what? I didn't love myself.
Okay.
Because the humility came in that if she accepted me like that, where we would be now.
Okay.
Because the connection was there. But because she looked at all of the other stuff and not looking at the core stuff, then she just like,
Yeah, I mean, let me be
Go
clear.
ahead.
No one should take advantage of another person in
No
a
doubt.
relationship.
No doubt.
And no one should feel as if they are carrying all the responsibility.
Yeah.
Right. It should feel like it is shared.
Yeah.
But too many times people mistake or misinterpret what's important in a relationship, and that's where these standards come from. These standards come from whatever is in vogue in society.
Yeah,
right?
society,
You gotta make
definitely.
a certain amount of money. You gotta look a certain
Yeah.
I
way.
want this.
You
I
gotta-
want 9 feet.
Yeah, all of that
9
kind
foot.
of stuff.
You
But
9
at
foot.
the- right. But at the end of the day,
okay.
relationships about connection,
Connection.
and an ability to come together and build something together. Like when you get married, biblically it says, "And the two shall become
Come
one." Right. So all this idea about you coming with some standard
Facebook
and you coming
fantasy.
with
Yeah.
some standard, at the end of the day, you guys are working on building a new thing.
Absolutely.
So if that's the case, then you both have to come to it with a certain level of humility and honesty with yourself in order to build that new thing. And as long as you have all this, or you're not doing
Yeah.
that, and you,
Yeah.
Or you're not this.
and you're not
You
that.
didn't lose this, or you
Right.
didn't lose that.
And that's the thing in human nature, right? We will pick out the one thing. Maybe there's 10 things that matter. 9 of the 10 things in a relationship, somebody's doing well, but it's the one thing.
One thing, yeah.
That you let the whole relationship
that you
go
let the
off,
whole
that
thing
one
fall
thing.
apart.
That one
And
thing.
I think that's a tragedy.
sad.
That's something we've avoided, but I think it's because we value each other in a way that keeps us from having that kind of
But
creep into the relationship.
just like I do that exercise, right? And so my thing is that if I know that my mate, the one that I'm getting ready to marry, don't exercise, I'm like, come on, let's get it. It takes baby steps. It's just like reading with my son.
Sure.
I'm reading with him so he can get better. I took him as he is. I didn't say throw him away because he couldn't do it.
Right.
I took him and then I help him do it. And that's the problem with it. We have this microwave thing going on. And well, I want this and I want that. I deserve this. I deserve to have
No,
a
you don't deserve
man
nothing.
9 foot and muscles and he got calves and he got this. And I'm like, you're not, see, the thing about it, and I love God, he gives us what we need, not what we want.
Right. Right. That's true. That's absolutely true.
And that's where, and I kept saying, no, God gonna give you what you need, not what you want.
Yeah.
Because what you want ain't really what God really got for you. Because what I wanted is what was on the porno screen
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
from growing up. That's what I wanted. Yes, that's what I want. Yes,
You wanna
right
come
there.
home to that.
I want to come home to that. Yes. But the other thing is that, no, God said, no, you don't need that. This is what you
Absolutely not.
need to
Yeah.
sustain you for the rest of your life. Amen. I'm done
Yeah.
preaching.
You are
That's all
right.
right. We're going to get the plate out here in a minute.
It's offering time. And that's the thing. We ask for things, and when it doesn't show up in the package that we want it in, it's like we throw a tantrum. And how many relationships have we been in that we wanted it to work out so bad? And no matter how hard we tried, it just didn't work out. Again, coming up with your own formulas. But then on the other side of the room, you're like, I'm so glad that didn't work out because I would have had to do a lot of work. If you're dealing with people who think they're perfect and they're telling you
Lord.
it's always you.
Yeah.
You need to do
Lord
this better.
have
You need
mercy.
to do this better.
Lord
you know.
have mercy.
And again, the art of compromise and sacrificing for your mate. That is important. Which leads me to that defined moment where you knew that you two were meant to be.
Huh.
This is my forever mate.
That's it.
Because
That's it right
I
there.
want to get into the background. How long have your parents been married, Gabby?
Over 50 years.
Okay, and side note, Jetty, you grew up in the home with a preacher also?
Yes.
Okay.
My stepfather. My
Okay.
stepfather was a pastor of several churches. But yeah, so no. And my great grandfather, whose house I grew up in, was a deacon for forever.
Okay.
So that spiritual foundation was there for you
absolutely.
heavily.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So when it got to a point that you're dating, and
Yeah, then I had to go to church with him.
that's right.
Oh yeah, she was up in church.
That's
for sure.
what
She was up in church.
Oh,
You
yeah.
brought her to church.
Not only
That's
that-
some Kerr. No,
Yeah.
normally she bringing the
Oh,
man.
no,
Oh,
no.
that's
At the time,
awesome.
I was a deacon at the time, and
Yeah.
oh yes, sir.
Let me give you all that.
Yeah, give me all them hits. No, that's the wrong one.
I'm delivered.
Give me the hits.
You
Yeah, so I was
In the
I was a
Baptist
deacon at the time
church.
in the Baptist church. So I was teaching Bible study. I was
Great man of
I'm gonna
God.
get to that.
sorry.
Yeah, I was teaching Bible study. I was a praise and worship leader in the morning.
Oh Lord.
I
You was
You got
commissioned.
vocals.
Yeah, I
You
was
commissioned.
praying. I was doing the prayer before Pastor got up, and then I was in a acapella quartet.
You hear that?
Yeah, commission.
Yeah, and so it was literally church on.
Hey,
You
we
know where you're going at today, church.
Yeah.
See Jesus.
So yeah, it was literally church all day.
big church, small
And she
church.
was right in there, and
Yeah.
she grew up Catholic.
Yeah.
So she come to my church like, okay, so we in here.
We in here.
How many hours?
I'm sorry, 45 minutes have passed. We should be right.
You know what I remember?
An hour.
You shared with me, with your nice Catholic structured background, that you went to church with him, and people were in the amen corner when
Yeah.
the preacher was preaching. She was like, Renee, that startled me.
Yeah.
She was like, you're not supposed to talk.
Talk by the other preacher talking.
You got
I
to
was
talk.
like, ooh.
You got to tell them. Amen.
I was like,
This is awesome,
I was
man.
like,
Y'all
okay,
blowing me
so
away.
in all
Yes,
years
sir.
of friendship, she ain't never been to my apostolic church.
Never been, but she went there though,
Where
didn't
they
she?
up and run around the church.
Yeah.
Be like, yeah, you might take off running.
Yeah.
One black person run, we all
Everybody,
run.
we all running.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is your background. You real churchy.
Yeah, for sure.
She's a church. Yeah.
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 So let's
I've actually given probably half a dozen sermons. I've been in the pulpit a couple, 3 times.
Wow. So you're a minister.
we're all
Might as well.
ministers.
But you know what I mean.
We all have the ministry of
We
reconciliation.
got the
Yeah, man.
exhortation gift.
Exaltation. Bless your
Okay.
heart. Bless your heart.
I hope my mama ain't watching this.
Yeah. She wants it to be full
She wants
time.
it to be full.
So
Anyway.
let's talk about the spiritual leading and guidance where in your spirit it was like, this is going to be my wife. So you got all your ducks in a row. How was the spiritual connection to say that this woman is ordained to be my wife?
Well, from her coming to church, and being active and involved, she wasn't waving a hand and all.
Right. But she was there.
But she was there, and
Understandable.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we would have discussions. We would have discussions about the sermon afterwards.
Okay.
We would talk about it. There would be times when there would be something challenging in her life, and she would reference God and the Lord and understanding that it was all a part of his plan and that kind of stuff. So we connected over that.
Wow.
I never expected her to, start shouting and none of that stuff.
I'm gonna teach you the two-step now. We're gonna get it together.
might get a little.
I get a little like,
Yeah.
that's it. That's all you gonna get right there. That's
You
it.
got the church lady.
Maybe one of these. But
No.
That's it. That's all you got right there. One hand.
But yeah, for me it was spiritually. I think she wound up having more time in my prayers than anybody else. So
All right.
I was praying for her a lot.
All right.
So was that God given to put her? Because sometimes God does do that, to put the woman in your spirit,
Yeah.
to make the right God choice.
Yeah,
Yes.
I believe so.
Yes.
I believe so. I mean,
He speaks that way.
yeah.
He
So I would,
does.
there'd be some periods when I'd be out on my face, and then she would just be
Boom.
in my head.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so-
Let me find out you were covering her in prayer.
well, yeah.
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 Like, okay.
That's how I had.
You didn't? Did you plan to pray, or it would be something?
Well,
like-
at the time I had a habit of praying.
Yeah.
So I was praying consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because I was so engaged and involved in the church, it was a part of my lifestyle. And so, yeah, when I would do that, I would make sure she had time when I was on my knees or on my face.
All right.
And yeah, so I think that was one of the things that really connected us spiritually. And the other things were really small, like I said, those conversations we were having about, what we had this incident when we went to one of my singing engagements, and I mean it was like a hole in the wall.
Okay.
We had to drive, I don't know, we drove like 30-45 minutes to get to it. And somebody else was on the program, was singing, and she decided she was going to minister to my wife.
No, she did.
But she was so there wasn't no God in her at all. I think she was just really jealous, because the woman who was singing was what.
You had no
My wife
relationship
weren't
with her?
there. No.
Okay.
If my wife weren't there, she would have been the prettiest thing in the room, and she wasn't pretty. She was all right.
Okay.
She was
what I'm
alright.
saying.
Bless her heart.
What?
Bless her heart.
Okay.
My wife
so
was in
what
there, so I think this is my
She
opinion.
probably
Yeah.
felt
She
some
got
kind
in
of way.
some type of way. She started going into this thing, and
I was just
Go
sitting
ahead,
there
tell me what
minding.
you
No,
said.
I was
Mind
just
your
minding
business.
my business.
She might
watching the show.
have.
And she stepped up to you?
Well, basically.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the whole context, but she was looking right at me, and she was saying, you got this beautiful package on the inside, on the outside, but inside you're a mess. You're a beautiful mess.
She got a order.
I'm like,
No, she didn't.
she don't know. Wait,
Yeah.
what is she basing that on?
She was trying. It was as if she was trying to provide a testimony, right?
Yeah.
So it was supposed to be about her, but all the time she was having this, pretty on the outside. She
Yeah.
was looking directly at me.
Oh,
at
my
Gabby,
God.
and just like, you a beautiful mess.
And she probably was really talking about herself.
She was talking about herself, but it
But she
didn't
kept
come across that way.
Yeah, she was.
No.
looking-
And
It
I
felt like
remember,
it was an attack.
remember her just like, what is happening?
I just came for a show.
Not for all of this.
Not all.
You acting like
we
this.
wound up talking about it after.
And
Yeah.
it's been
And
a
it-
running joke.
And it's been a running joke, but it also provided some context about what is and what is not the spirit of
God.
the
That's
Lord.
right.
And that's
That's right.
not it.
That.
No.
And you know it. You know it. When it comes
you don't have
across,
to
you know
be,
it.
and to me, it provided some real context to me and some real support for my belief in her spirituality, which that because everybody I've been around expressed their spirituality one type of way,
Right.
and she did it differently,
Right.
and that helped us to connect as well. And so I still ain't been to no Catholic church though, but
No, not once. He's always like, I'll go. But
I will go. But I mean,
we haven't been, but we that is something we need to work on. What we moved out of state and had to find a new church, and I got baptized there, and we were on a good
pattern. Yeah, we were going
And
spiritual.
then the kids came.
Then the kids came.
and it became
That's
the
a
church
whole
that we were
nother.
going to wasn't close to the house. It was like a 40-minute ride.
Okay,
Okay.
understandable.
And so it became like a
And you know where we live. We were in Amish country.
Yeah.
So we tried to find other churches and it just didn't. So we completely fell off
We did.
the spiritual wagon. So now that's why we're happy to be back.
in terms of
Yeah.
practice, in terms of
Like
our spirituality is still good and the
Exactly.
same, but we just haven't had the practice of going to church.
Right.
Well, COVID.
The fellowship.
Yeah.
I guess for a
COVID,
lot of
COVID,
people,
yeah.
yeah.
COVID has really helped us out. If you wasn't strong,
Yeah.
you was done. But if
Yeah.
you were strong in your walk, COVID really didn't
Yeah,
matter
no,
because you did it
yeah.
at home. So
Yeah.
it wasn't.
Yeah, it
was like the
separated
presence,
religion
right,
and spirituality.
No, we doing this at home. I'm
Yeah.
gonna pray at home. I'm gonna do whatever I'm gonna do at home. I'm gonna have my own service at home.
Yeah,
Forget
yeah,
y'all.
yeah.
You know. And,
Right.
yeah, man, that's awesome, man. So
That
God
is
really led y'all.
amazing.
Well, led you. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. She was going to Catholic church. So,
I have been to Catholic church.
I had to. I
My
had to.
family
I had
is
to.
very diverse. Like I
Yeah.
said,
Okay.
we got the Pentecostals, we got the
Pentecostals.
Methodists, the
Yeah, all
Baptists.
that,
You know,
yeah.
my granddaddy was a Baptist deacon, and on the
Amen.
mourners bench, as
Yeah,
they
yeah,
used to
yeah.
call old school.
Yeah, old school. Yeah.
And then I got and then we have the Catholics, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I've done lined up for the communion and all that. And
Our
stand up,
service,
sit down.
our service, and that's it.
Yeah. I'm like, now, how can we incorporate this? Because, you know, we church
Right, right.
all day on Sunday.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was a shock to my system.
Yes.
It literally was
I
all
was
day.
like, do they have to sing 10 songs?
You sound like the kids.
We
like,
start one in the beginning, one at the end, and one in the middle. Yeah, I did feel like we were kids. Somebody got some snacks.
Yeah.
Something. I was not prepared.
And then the
Absolutely.
song don't end. That's the other
Good song.
thing.
Yeah,
One more time.
One more time. Keep on singing.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, my brother-in-law shared, he grew up Seventh-day Adventist, and then in college, he was in the Nation of Islam.
Oh, wow.
So he comes to our church.
Ooh, Lord have mercy.
It was one of them revival services.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
And if you know Veronica, she's a praiser. She's like, talk
Yeah,
about
yeah,
churches.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
met
yeah,
her.
yeah,
She's
yeah.
like, well, let me tell you. Well, she tried to keep it cute. And that's like definitely if you grew up in the church,
Amen.
when you invite your friends who aren't used to the charismatic experience,
Yeah.
You trying to
you
be all
like,
cool.
oh, I can't wait see they react yeah, when the organ goes. So he's sitting next
When
to
that
her.
A flat chord.
Yes, and she got the worshiping and jumped up and went to dancing, and he was sitting there. He says, she jumped up, then somebody else jumped up, then somebody went sliding across the pulpit. So he's like, I sat there, and he says, I didn't know what was going on, so I just looked at the ceiling fan. He was like,
Just stay focused.
I'm just gonna look at it.
He figured the Lord was on his way. at that
Right?
point.
He was like, I'm just gonna watch the fan. Like, okay. And you know, it'll calm down and then it'll start back up.
again.
So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love those moments. But when you look at the spirituality piece, the benefit of having Gabby and Jetty on is that they did their premarital counseling with my
Oh,
parents.
yeah, we did.
Okay.
So
okay.
my parents just made 55 years of marriage.
right.
Actually,
Yeah.
it'll be 55 years in December.
Amen.
Talking to the
My
right
God.
people.
And, you know, just learning the highs and the lows, the ups and the downs. And when you see that a man's passion is to make sure his family is taken care of. And understanding the dynamic of having a strong black woman,
Amen.
but yet she's wise enough to be vulnerable to trust her man to lead. That's a balance that really is important. Some of us as single independent women can go too far left and fall in that category of I don't need a man, I make this amount, I got this, I got that. That's not me. I can't own that. I ain't gonna put my hand on that because I will play a damsel in distress. You know, I need this fix. I don't know what to do.
That's, I think, also having our dads around.
Yes.
You know, and seeing the dynamic in our
Absolutely.
household.
That is so important. And just being able to understand at what point in the relationship do we need a voice of wisdom, and trusting who you let in. And as we wrap up, I want to talk about something that I feel is detrimental to a relationship, is letting the wrong people in your relationship.
Absolutely.
That is huge. You know, you have to be careful who you share your business with. And what I can say, dating relationship or marriage, you bash your mate too much, they are not going to get over it when you all make up. And I've definitely been in situations where, you know, I'm frustrated and he did this and that. And when you decide that you're good, don't forget he did that. Girl, I don't need no reminders of that.
We were just talking about that with a situation with someone we know, and, you know, getting back with someone that things didn't go well at one time, and we were just saying, how are we supposed to be accepting of this person?
Yeah.
You know, because we know what what they've gone through, and, you know, it's almost like, well, if they are willing to forgive and forget, you know, I guess the onus is on us to do the same, but it's hard to do so when you love that person.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, if you have any answers, I'd like to know, because I don't think we still were able to flesh
hard.
it.
I'm in that exact situation where you give someone another chance and your loved ones know what you've gone
You
through.
want me to speak on it?
And it is hard. And what I have told the person that I'm courting, we talked about that,
Amen.
is that you have to understand, my friends and family, they love me and they saw my hurt. And this is your proving stage, you know. And again, understanding that I'm not perfect, but when I hurt, they hurt. So you have to let them know that I'm safe with you. That is important.
It's all about being consistent.
Yeah, you have to let them know that even though I need to feel safe with you, you need to make me feel safe. But then you need to let my loved ones know that it's safe. I made a mistake. I fully explored this relationship and gave it all I had. That didn't work out. All roads led back here. Now, let them know that I'm safe.
Right.
That's important.
That is important.
Yeah. Am I safe? Yeah. So
Yes,
I'm dealing with that right now. And I have a big family. My nieces and nephews are older. And they look inside eye.
Yeah.
All they know is we
What
saw
happened
our
back then?
auntie cry,
Yeah.
broken. Okay? And even, you know, my gay best friend was like, why is he here? No questions asked. He looked, excuse me, why is he here? So
I think I remember that.
yeah. So it's like you have to make them know that it's safe. And if it's not, then I ain't going to bring you around if I don't feel safe.
Right.
And when I get to a point, because everybody has had, you know, ups and downs. So if I'm sticking my big toe in the water, guess what? While I'm going in, I'm holding the hands of my friends saying, y'all, I'm going to give them another try. And they're like, okay.
Okay.
And everybody in honesty has let me know what their concerns are.
And
But-
they're probably right.
Yeah.
And rightful
But the
concerns.
thing about it that all of them have said, Gabby included, I have not had my talk with Jody. I told Gabby, I said, I need to talk. We need to talk.
Right.
I'm scared. No, I'm like, I'm going to give it another chance. But it's like, are you safe? And that's what is important.
And what I would suggest to the young man is that in that period, if he really want to prove himself, you have to just be consistent and really talk. I've been in that situation before, and so the bottom line is that you have to pick out one person in the family, just one, that probably does everybody else. And once you make them assured, they will assure everybody. Because you need somebody on your side to give you that push, to give you that validation. And right now, there's no validation because there hasn't been no conversation. And no matter how much he comes around or whatever, there still has to be a conversation with somebody. I don't care who it is or whatever in your family. He knows who to go to. He knows who the point person to talk to. And he has to do that. If he does not do that, you will be in the same situation that you was in before. I'm telling you, it is what it is. He's going to have to do it. Because that will put, that is accountability once he does that.
I like the way you enunciated that. Accountability.
Accountability. Because you have to be accountable.
You do.
And my thing is that once you put it out there, he has to live up to it. And if he doesn't want to live up to it, then it's time. Okay, this is not for me.
That's right.
No need to waste no time. I think y'all done it a long time now. Amen. No need to waste no time. I'm sorry.
I got that question, the number one question, when it was still hush hush, that I was even considering. Did you tell Gabby about us? I was like, because when I cried them tears to Gabby, she was like, "That's it, Johnny and I gonna beat him up."
I remember.
Johnny just laughed.
He would be, he would be right there. I'm
the good beacon.
So it was,
and I know it's love because he, like you said, he's feeling the same.
That's bestie brother.
But that's what he's going to have to do. He's going to have a conversation with somebody in the family or that is close to you to be accountable, so there can be validation for him to move on. Because if he doesn't have that, there's no need in moving on. I'm sorry.
But what I respect about a relationship and a marriage, again, I have 3 older sisters. They're all married with kids. Right. So I've watched how they have handled themselves. I've been mad at my brother-in-laws, all of that. So the fact that my friends, my sisters can keep me grounded to say, okay, we know what he's capable of. Okay? Because in the end, it was still a choice that was made. So it's not mudslinging, it's protection. And it's different when there's an ill intention to disturb your relationship,
Yes.
And that's where you said you have to be careful.
You have to be careful who you let in,
For sure.
Because I've gotten that no good, this and that. And I'm like, this is a different type of energy.
Right. It's almost like you're rooting for us to fail. Like you want it to end.
Right.
So that's different. So I definitely want to park it here and come back.
We can go on. We can do this off the line.
With,
turn these mics off in a minute.
Outsiders can kill the relationship. So let's give claps for Judson and Gabrielle Kerr.
Thanks for having us, guys.
And can you all just tell us, how long have you been married?
Lucky 13.
13 years.
Yes, this September.
And 2 beautiful kids.
Hold on, wait a minute. 1 minute.
So I want to thank you all. This will not be your last time.
All right.
Oh, no, we'll be back.
I'm going to go into the man cave and we're going to bring the bros in. And then we're going to
have
turn
ladies'
this.
night?
Yes,
All
we're going to
right.
have ladies' night,
Okay.
and we're going to chat it up about everything. So I thank you all for joining me. I'm so proud of you, and I love you both. And that has been Diary of a Preacher's Kid. Thanks for tuning in.